Cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here for the Pop Culture Cosmos. Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and of course the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you catching all of our great stuff that we've done over the past, at least I've done, past
10 years, right?
16,
More.
16, going on 16 this year. Holy cow, I've been podcasting a long time. And then you and I, we first met. In fact, I did that the other day where I put on the first time you ever came on one of my shows on the Game Source podcast, and that was 2015. So 10 years, buddy. 10 years.
I know. It's been a ride. It's been a long while.
But it would be a pop culture cosmos without a good friend indeed. He is the mastermind behind, well, Echo Ale Company. I don't know if that's the case, but also as well, of course, don't forget Humanican Media, The Happy Hoarder, all that good stuff right there for you. It is, of course, my good friend, Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
Just had a trip to the zoo with the kids. They're all conked out, man, and here we are.
There you go. Nothing like a trip to the zoo to go ahead and put those kids to bed right there for you. Good. Sleep.
Knocking out hard. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Continue best to your children and continue best to the family. So happy to you showed all those videos on social media of how you and the kids are doing. It's great to see, my friend. You are an excellent father, and just so happy for you, my friend. But we got much to talk about. All around the world, we're on radio stations and podcast outlets. So truly appreciate you joining us. It's a lot to talk about, my friend. We're going to talk about what's going on at the box office. Not good news. What's going on with the Russo brothers. Not good news. We're going on with Starship Troopers. Some good news.
Yeah,
we're going to go on talk about as far as Amazon Prime Video, what they've been working on, because they've got a lot of stuff there you might want to see and hear. Also, as well, a legend returns in the midst of the successful Apple Plus series Severance. I think someone got a little jealous. No, it's actually been in the works for a while. It was officially announced this past week with the return of was once the most popular show on Apple TV Plus. So we'll talk about that. Plus, also as well, just how important is Assassin's Creed Shadows to the survival of Ubisoft? We'll talk about that on the show as well. But first, I want to go ahead and hit you up with the box office report, my friend. Novocaine, starring Jack Quaid. I really like the kid. It's really doing a lot of good things. Of course, his work on Star Trek Lower Decks did a great job there. His work with the boys. He is starting to go all over the place, wishing him a ton of success. This is the second movie that he's appeared in already this year.
Companion,
yeah. But get very active so far. A Companion was the other one that he did. Yeah, absolutely. Problem is, though, this movie came out to $8.7 million to lead the box office and domestic box office, and that is one of the worst. Well, it's actually the worst opening for a number one movie of the year, but it's one of the worst in a long time, my friend. So after some promising start, after a promising start to the box office, Chinese box office has revived itself with Nesha 2. That's obviously a good sign for as far as the box office in worldwide is concerned, but domestically, my friend, after a okay start, we've seen some hard times. Your thoughts on where the money is not going in to the box office?
Originally I was like, oh, it's March. It's not a big deal. But it's March. And we're heading rapidly into April, and our highest box office takeaway here is 388 million with Captain America: Brave New World, and it's a Marvel film, right? Because there was a time when Marvel would break 400 million or sometimes 5 on an opening weekend or opening week, but here we are, man. Yeah, this is really weird because we have two movies in the 100 million, and the rest are beneath that. So I don't. I mean, either
Yeah.
these movies aren't good, or people are looking at them and being like, ah, this is something I don't really see the need to see in the theaters, and maybe I just need to wait till it comes out. Like Companion, like Novocaine. These are all movies that seem like they'd be better fit to a streaming service, as opposed to paying the price tag of a movie. But I mean, I haven't seen them, so I can't fully say they're not worth watching in the theater. But I think we're living in an era, and we've talked about this before, where people are very cautious about what they're actually going to the movie theaters to watch, because it's like a 3 month turnaround now for streaming, and people would much rather pay that $20 to rent it right when it hits like Amazon Prime or somewhere, as opposed to going to the movie theaters and paying 60 to rent it there or watch it there.
I could just say this: it's it's the appeal. For first off, you had talked about this back in 2020 about how what happened during the pandemic and how everything went to streaming. It's going to fundamentally change how we view films.
Yeah.
I think it's to a point where you hit it right in the button, but I think it fundamentally changes how we view films line. Films like, hey man, do you want to go see Novocaine? You know what? Yeah, I do want to see it, but you know what? I think I'll just wait for it to hit streaming. It's gonna hit streaming next month anyways.
Yeah.
Or this film, or that film, or this film. Those movies that are not you're not viewing as a destination. I got to go see it in the movie. Those movies now are no longer being watched at the theaters. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's what the disappointing is about it.
Well,
So
I mean, because speaking to a movie like Novocaine, right? Like you would go back in 2018, 19, even, like you could go to the theaters and there'd be a bunch of movies like The Transporter and Taken Out, those things that those quick action movies, and they would do gangbusters. People hung out at the movie theaters, like that was the place to go. But now you go to the movie theaters and it's on any given day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, even, like it's a ghost town, and more often than not. um I'm trying to remember the last time we went late at night, but I mean, there was not a lot of people there. Like you could go. I remember going out to the Irvine Spectrum on a Thursday night or Friday night. I mean, lines of people trying to get into these new movies, but now you don't see anything like that. And it's the streaming market. All these movie studios, like, why are people not paying money to see our movies? The streaming market and these streaming service that these studios are a part of, they're eating themselves. We've reached a point where the market is eating itself thanks to their own machinations.
it's again those days where dating me back, because I told you I grew up in Torrance, California. We had a couple venues, actually more than a couple venues to go see films. And I remember at one place, Old Town Mall, we used to have lines for every, even mid-tier movie or really destination movie. Used to have lines waiting on a Friday or Saturday to go ahead and check out the films. I told you my time about watching Empire Strikes Back, and I got out. We were there, had to get there early in the morning to go see it, to beat the crowd, to get the first screening of Empire Strikes Back. But when I walk out, the thing I remember the most was seeing the line stretch out for over a mile. And I'm
Yep.
not kidding when I say that, because it was people would wait all day to go see that type of film.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen anymore in this
Mm-mm.
type of environment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we don't have the midnight premieres anymore. Like, people don't wait in line to see that stuff. Like, there's even Marvel can't do it anymore, right? Marvel is seemingly incapable. Star Wars, people don't line up to see Star Wars movies. People just don't care about that movie theater experience that much. They'll go, like, if something like Avatar, or, whatever Chris Nolan is doing, like, people go to see those, but there's not like it's not like a fanfare surrounding any of it like there used to be. There used to be an entire culture of people who were at the movie theaters literally every weekend, and now it's, the where people go once, twice, maybe 3 times a year.
Well, again, for me, it's for Marvel, it's self-induced. A lot of it, to be
Yeah.
well, part of it is burnout. Part of it is just the fact that they could not sustain the continual formula of success
Hmm.
after Endgame that they had before Endgame, and I think that's obviously a lot of that coincided. Plus, like you said, the changing tastes of how people view films in its entirety. So yeah, again, I have concerns over what's upcoming. I like Thunderbolts. You like Thunderbolts
I'm
coming up from
excited about
Marvel,
Thunderbolts. Yeah.
but it's not to the level of a first week in May Marvel movie. This is not normally the movie I would put. I would have put the Fantastic Four personally, as far as that is the first week in May. I think that the Thunderbolts would have been better as if they swapped. I think that would have been better. I think if Captain America: Brave New World was more universally, or somebody actually, if they looked at it and they said, you know what, this is really going to be a winner,
Yeah.
that could have been on the May. But you know what? I still am hoping that Thunderbolts does well. But I don't know where the box office is going to trend to,
Yeah.
because you no longer have to go see, or you no longer have to go worry about, okay, if I don't get to see this movie in the theaters, it's
Yeah.
going to take up to a year before I actually get to see it out at home. Remember that? I mean, you were just a very young kid at the time, but when at the tail end of VHS, or even started, well, it's like right around the start of DVD, but tail end of VHS, you had to wait. If a movie came out in let's say a December movie, it would take probably until the next Christmas before the videotapes or DVDs of that movie would be available for a home audience. Yeah, that
Oh,
is no
for sure.
longer the case.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
remember. I remember VHSs, like it was, yeah, it was like a year-long turnaround time. Except for like television shows, you had the like Power Rangers or whatever, they would release the VHSs, pretty quickly after the show aired. But yeah, it was a big deal to get and VHS tapes were about $30 a piece. Like they were expensive, man. Like they were, movies just in general were expensive. Like DVDs were up to like $25 too a piece when they first started coming out. So yeah, it's the movie, things have changed, like, and most of these too, like, some of them are releasing simultaneously in theaters and streaming services. Some of them you have to wait 3 weeks to watch. Some of them um it's not, some of them that are, take the 3 month turnaround, but still, like, it's not that, for people that have FOMO, like, you're not missing out on anything anymore, and I think that maybe that has a lot to do with it too.
Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. So it's very concerning, because I know that you and I are in some ways are traditionalists in the way as far as our entertainment medium. You more so than me in certain aspects, especially physical media, as our series on the Super BS Games Cast will actually show, is because yeah, our series on the Super BS Games Cast, we're gonna have, I guess, is what's in our physical media, what's in our game case or game library, and
Yeah.
in the case of you, your contributions will last a lot longer than mine, which will last a lot longer than Brank's, to say the least. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the traditional ways of enjoying entertainment. There's still, it's so hard to tell people and describe sometimes how you feel. Like last year when and I got reinvigorated why I love watching movies in the cinema when I saw Doom Part 2.
Yeah.
And I saw Doom Part 2 in a digital format where the screen, like you said, the colors popped, the whole 9 yard, the color palette that you always talk about, all that stuff really shone out. And then I saw it again in a Dolby enhanced format, and that sandworm scene which has been one of the most praised scenes in quite some time in movie memory.
Yeah.
That is just phenomenal, and you can't, it's so hard to recreate that in a home setting. I mean, even with the most high end of audiophile systems, yes, you can recreate that, but it's just so hard for the average individual out there to recreate the movie experience 100%.
But how many of those movies are coming out still? Like, very rarely, do you see a movie that actually is required to see on a movie screen, right? You have your Chris Nolan films, your Denis Villeneuve films, your Star Wars. Marvel doesn't even like sometimes their movies are easier to watch on a television. It's not. It feels like even their stuff in theaters are made for television these days. But yeah, I mean, you don't get a lot of like big event films like that anymore. And I don't know if that studio's putting more money into what less is more type of scenario, or if it's just there's not really a lot of good ideas out there that are worth investing in, or are according to them.
So, what are your thoughts out there? Please let us know about why the box office is actually right now. Yeah, it's in concern. It's a concern domestically here, as Novocaine is the number one show, the number one movie right now in the US, but it comes out in one of the worst openings at under $10 million domestic box office. Let us know if you are still enjoying and experiencing or actually looking forward to the movie experience. We want to know your thoughts on what the future of the box office may be. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program. Amazon Prime Video. Have you been checking out Amazon Prime Video lately?
I haven't watched a whole lot of new things on it, but I do peruse it, and I was reading last night that the guys from Grand Tour are actually doing a show called the Not So Grand Tour, and I guess it like revisits stuff from their past. But yeah, I mean, Prime has some things on there that I get on and I will watch. And I know the new Gundam is actually coming to Prime too. So yeah, it's
Mm.
one of my more visited streaming sites these days.
Well, there you go. But not only that, my friend, actually the top three uh, most watched things on Amazon Prime Video right now is Reacher, which has grown even more. I first thought when it came out, it doesn't have, of course, Tom Cruise in it. How good is this going to be? Is this going to the Jack Ryan series? It kind of worked out because there's been various actors for that role, so it kind of worked out for Amazon as far as good numbers for them. But how good is this Jack Reacher going to be? I will tell you what. When it comes to Amazon Reacher, they've done a really good job of it. They've really done a good job with Alan Rickson. He is, he's not just some jacked up dude who can't act or whatnot. He is really becoming a refined individual. And the audience, it's no longer the association with Jack Reacher or the movies or whatnot. In season 3, it has now become about people now wanting to see this character and
Yep.
Alan Rickson in the character grow with the series. They're getting huge numbers again, and this series is only growing and even getting better. Now, whether or not you think the shows are good or not, I'll leave that up to you. Right, the series right now is getting okay reviews and whatnot, but again, that's Jack Reacher. It's pretty much I don't want to say it's a one note type deal, but you pretty much know the formula once you see it, whatnot. But he himself is making it endearing to watch that show, and a lot of people are watching it right now. Then you have Wheel of Time, which just opened up at season 3. They're still garnering a lot of success, and there's still a huge fan base for that fantasy series as well.
A
And
pretty big
also in
gap, right? Sorry, but a
Go
pretty
ahead.
big gap, right? But sorry, I was gonna say there's a pretty big gap between season 2 and 3, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I believe you are correct. So if that's the case, my friend, that's a lot of good stuff going on there. On top of the fact that Invincible, which is also in the top 3 of most viewed television shows on Amazon Prime, that just ended its season 3. A lot of people are talking about the final episode, which is for Walking Dead fans. Uh, a reversal of fortune, I should say, with your Glenn and Negan outcomes. I'll just say that as just truly was a fight to the finish in this one. But uh, I didn't connect as well with this season as others because of the fact I think it was more of a um, villain of the week type deal for me with Invincible. I thought it was good. In the past, I thought season 1 and season 2 was really good because of the more dynamic way, family dynamic way of everything tying into each other. They
Mhm.
also put Omni Man, J.K. Simmons' character, way to the side in this season and barely even touched on him. It was more about Invincible and also side characters as well, superhero characters trying to develop their stories. He has a new relationship, Invincible does. And then throughout it all, there's a I have to save the world from a new villain seemingly every week. So it got a little how should I say this? The circumstances, you don't feel like the consequences are going to be there. You feel like that Invincible is going to eventually figure out a way to get out of it each and every time by the end of the hour,
It's like
sort of
Dragon
deal.
Ball, kind of.
Yeah,
You kind
like watching, the old Batman shows. You had the villain of the week. They pop in, they pop out. Batman figures it out. Batman and Robin figure out they save the day by the end of the day. Credits roll, etc. It got a little bit of that. There's one in particular that was the kind of disappointing that they didn't extend that over a multitude of episodes, or they may bring it back. But I was still disappointed in a little bit. In fact, that there's a character played by Sterling K. Brown that goes to different dimensions and whatnot, has that capability, but he brings evil invincibles from
of.
several different dimensions to fight the invincible in our dimension. And I thought that really could have been a huge dynamic that you could have played out for an extended period of time, but they chose to close it off after one episode. They didn't finish it off entirely. They're still they left it open ended for later on down the line, but
Yeah.
it just seemed a little bit samey. Like, okay, I know this is going to be done by the end of the episode, or this character is going to have a character arc that's done by the end of the episode. So it was kind of disappointing in that realm. It was good, but
Yeah.
man, the kind of trauma that if this was really happening, that Invincible would have, I think they should address that at some point in time. Invincible, with all this trauma and all the graphic violence that he goes through and all the graphic things that happen. In fact, in the last episode, he is personally forced to slaughter thousands of humans in a totally unique way. And I'll just leave it at that if you want to check that out. Got it. So not dropping too much in spoilers, but to not have any kind of residual effect from that, seemingly he gets depressed, he gets down, but he gets more depressed when he thinks he's losing his girlfriend or when he thinks something's happening to his family, whatnot. He doesn't seem to have very many thoughts about all the lives. He doesn't linger on that fact, and he has to go ahead and save the world again. Maybe it's just because of time or whatnot, but yeah, it's just something where Invincible, I would like to see that aspect brought out more of him. The problem with so many deaths that are attributed to things that he is a part of affecting him more emotionally
Yeah.
on a regular basis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, I remember watching the show originally being shocked at exactly how, like, hyper violent it was, so,
Mhm.
yeah, and I guess the comic books are like that too, though, like, they really push the envelope in the comic books in ways that I don't think the show is gonna be willing to go to, but,
The show goes pretty far in and of itself if you watch the show. I'll just leave it at that.
okay, alright, but yeah,
But it
I
doesn't, like you said, it doesn't go as far as the comic book. But for television, let's just say with that and the boys, because they're all tied into each other because the
yeah.
creators. It goes pretty far, my friend. It goes pretty far.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's a show I gotta definitely play catch up on, but, yeah, it has been on my radar. A lot of people I talk to are enjoying it so far. I just hope it's not one of those ones that runs, on for too many seasons.
There's the temptation. I mean, it's already going into a season 4, and they set up a lot for season 4 already as far as more villains of the week that might be coming up in the not too distant future. But
Yeah.
season 3, I thought was good. It is good. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely a watch. It just doesn't reach the heights for me as seasons 1 and 2 because I think the fact that the absence of Omni Man is probably the most glaring thing. He is sprinkled in the first few episodes a little bit, but is basically not part of this season per se. I know
Yeah.
that they're building something for him and in the background, so that's something I look forward to. But yeah, if it's something I just wanted to go ahead and mention. But yeah, Amazon Prime is just really doing a good job. I understand people still get Amazon for other things and buy it for use it for other reasons. But
Yeah.
if you have, and we've been championing Amazon Prime Video for almost a
Yeah.
decade, my friend. We've been
Yeah.
saying about you need to go ahead and do things. At first, this was a Amazon Prime Video was a throwaway for Amazon because the fact that they just had a whole bunch of old stuff. They really didn't, put much thought into it or much time or energy or money into it. Flash forward 8 years later, we've been championing it for a while. And if you're still not watching Amazon Prime Video, I got to ask you why.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is a definitely worth getting into. I mean, it's got a lot of good shows on there. I mean, it didn't used to, but it's, in the days of trying to keep up with Netflix and things like that, it's definitely the library is worth checking out.
I'll tell you what, my friend, though, it is, of course, Amazon Prime Video. Again, if you are checking out, again, Wheel Time season 3 just started. It's all season 3 is. So that tells you pretty much where we are at with Amazon Prime Video because The Boys, Wheel of Time, Reacher, Invincible. All these shows are in their season 3, season 4, season 5. You saw the turn. The turn was right around 2018, 2019, when some of these shows really started to get, introduced, brought out. 2020, and then shortly thereafter. So you see when the focus changed on Amazon Prime Video, taking Amazon Prime Video more seriously, and now they should be a destination for you and
Yeah.
everyone out there as far as your viewing pleasure is concerned. And of course, Josh just mentioned what's upcoming to Amazon Prime Video. So please, if you're not invested in Amazon Prime Video, you need to become invested in it. There's some really good stuff there. I mean, we just mentioned just a small little tidbit of what's offering there. So yeah, if you are interested in checking out what's going on with, of course, everything on at Amazon Prime Video, and please let us know if are you now watching and utilizing Amazon Prime Video? Are you using it for just other things other than purchasing? Are you using it for things other than just going ahead and finding that next deal on Amazon? Are you actually watching all the good stuff now on Amazon Prime Video? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is, of course, Josh Greg Peterson along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. It's so nice to finally be heard. I've been saying these things for years. So nice to finally be heard. You heard our conversation. What was it? Earlier this year, I think we talked about when the Mass Effect.
Wait. Yeah.
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 No, it was actually November because N7 Day. It was confirmed, not through Bioware, of course. It was confirmed through trades that a Mass Effect TV show, something I've been pining for years and years. I'm sorry, your ears have been bleeding because I've been saying it to you so much on this show for years.
But it
That
worked.
finally, yeah, exactly. So yeah, that finally get kicked off, and now Starship Troopers. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put it up here. It's a Hollywood Reporter actually got the digs on this. I've been asking you and telling you and hoping with you that we could see something renewed in the universe for Starship Troopers. And wouldn't you know, finally, Hollywood Reporter breaks the news that District 9 filmmaker Neil Blomkamp is going to bring out a new adaptation. It's not a remake of Paul Verhoeven's 97 film, but rather we'll go back to the 1959 novel as source material. So I've read the book. Um, it's not the greatest of books, I will just say. I mean, I
Okay.
really think that the movie brought out the best of that book and took ideas and probably made it for the best. Um, I was actually because I just glanced over it before we started the show. And now I'm reading more into it, and um, I was hoping for something in the Starship Troopers universe that you would bring some of those old characters back. But now that I'm reading it, my friend, my thoughts on this have changed from before we went on the air. I'm hoping it'll still be good, but now I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic for it. I think the last, I mean, the original movie, like I still think holds up pretty well. I still enjoy watching it. But again, like we're getting into Blade Runner territory, right? Is the original movie so old that if they were to try to continue that mythos, would people really be interested? So I mean, they got to be real careful with this because they can plan it far enough in the future of the universe and make very very light references to the original movie, or they can just pretend that it didn't happen, not go other way to pretend it didn't happen, but just have it be its own movie, and that might work out a little better because again, like this this universe seems like franchise material to me, right? So I mean, the idea would be we'd get one and then get a bunch more after that, but they have to be very careful how they do it.
I just think it's the best course of action, as I've said to you from the time I first said this to you day one.
Yeah.
You got to go ahead and bring something new, do it in a series, develop characters,
Yeah.
utilize the old characters to bring in our audience, but utilize new and upcoming actors to as far as the new trainees, so you can bring out your own new Rico and all that good stuff, but utilize still the Denise Richards, the Casper Van Deens, the you know
You don't
Neil
overly
Patrick
reference it.
Harris.
Right. Yeah,
Pardon?
but I was gonna say you don't want to overly reference it though, because like it could very well, because if you do that, it's gonna seem like you have to watch the original in order to get into this new one, and that's gonna be hard for younger people who are like, oh, I don't like watching old movies. So yeah, I guess it all depends on how it's done. Like Gladiator 2, they over reference the original Gladiator, and that's why that movie will forever be stuck in the shadow of the original Gladiator. You don't want to do that with this new Starship Troopers.
I don't know. Maybe I would, because again, it's if you did it the way I did it, or it's talked about it, you're serving two individuals. You're bringing out a new young cast, but you're sprinkling in and having the old cast have their own storylines, and you jump back and forth between the two. I still think that is the best course because those characters are still out there, still active as far as they're at a point where they're now could have been the leaders of we talk if you watch the original movie, if you watch the movie back in the 90s or
Yeah.
from the 90s, you understand that those leaders sent all those guys to war. Casper Van Dien, Denise Richards, sent them to war. They weren't the leaders yet. They had just been kids coming out of high school. They go into the war. They become battle hardened, et cetera, et cetera. You can
Yeah.
evolve it now to where they are the leaders that have to make the decisions that affect thousands of troopers' lives and how it affects them. And it just seems like it's a given for me that, and plus also still the satirical style, the way Verhoeven did it. I know not everybody got it. Believe me, not everybody got it when it came out, which is why it didn't do well. But it's become a success story, Josh. It's become a cult favorite from that
Yeah.
era because of the satirical style. Heck, Helldivers 2 is a huge hit because it leans heavily into the satirical style of fascism and all that, uh, of Starship Troopers as it did. You know,
Yeah.
it just seems like it's a given for more in that universe. I understand all the made for TV movies or made for straight video, home to straight home video movies were made after. Those all could be forgotten. It just seemed like it was a natural that it could be going there. And after finally carefully reading the Hollywood Reporter article, seeing how it's going to lean more on the book, I tried getting through the book. I was like Verhoeven. I
Yeah.
tried getting through the book. I couldn't get through the book. I really wanted to read the book and enjoy the book. I got through about halfway, and it's just it's not. I don't know how it will generate with an audience today. He's going to make it much more serious. He's going to make it much more horrifying,
But he will
dramatic.
Yeah, yeah. He will have a political message in it for sure, and I think that's what a lot of people wanna see in movies these days too. So, I mean, that's what Blomkamp's known for, though. I mean, he's known for his, social political messages. He's known for his ability to shock and awe, to tell stories that resonate in the real world, and that might be a big drawing factor for a lot of people in their 20s to come see this movie and become a part of this world that I was able to become a part of when I was when I was a kid.
I don't know, man. I really don't know because I really think that my idea would generate a larger audience or more sure audience because it's one of those things where we've seen this before. Okay, like you said, it's a question. Do we go back and lean on the material that we did before, like Blade Runner 2049, which was a outstanding film,
Yeah.
but people didn't realize that based on the box office results, people didn't realize that until it went to home video, until it went to streaming, and it became huge on home video
Yeah.
as far as Blu-ray sales and all that. But or do you go ahead and do something new as far as take the original adaptation, and just do something completely new with it? And I don't know. I'm now hedging my bets on the excitement I had before the show when we did this. Now that I finally read the
Great.
entirety of the Hollywood Reporter article,
Yeah.
I'm really hedging my bets, man. I'm really hedging my bets.
Oh, well, I mean, I think it'll be a good I think the movie will be a good time regardless, and it'll be pretty to look at least because that's what, another thing Blomkamp does. So, I it really it's anybody's guess whether or not this will be good and whether or not it'll stick, but, I think that we're in the right climate for a movie like that to be successful.
I I'm hoping you're right. I don't share the same, I guess, confidence in it. Neil Blomkamp has originally had quite a few successes. It's been up and down for the past few years or so, but he is still an excellent filmmaker, and I won't disagree with you on that. So, what he will bring to the film, and I'm sure he'll have to answer 500 questions on why he didn't lean and tap on Verhoeven's World of
Yeah,
Starship Troopers. Um, he's probably going to My guess, he's gonna do all over it. I bet you the fact that he hates it. I bet you the fact that he hates that version of Starship Troopers. I'm not saying I know anything on here, but my guess is when you see how successful Starship Troopers is and has been in the years since its failure on box office, but it has become a cult classic.
yeah.
It's more than made its money back for Sony, but I could just see Verhoeven's distaste for this type of film, and campiness and silliness at times, which it is, for what he wants to do to bring a more serious work on the screen. I respect him for it. I definitely respect him for it, but I'm just not sure it's the right move.
Yeah, but I mean, we're also at the point where like this franchise needs to like need to do something, or else it really is probably going to end up dying.
It doesn't have to die, man. It doesn't have to die. Sony has that built in with Netflix. I told you, it's a natural. Man, I just wish they would have got me in with the Netflix CEO, Reed Hastings, or Sony CEO. Just give me 10 minutes to give you that Hollywood pitch. I could have done it. I could have done it, man. I could have done it. Could have done it. Now
They
we'll
want
never get it.
they
Now
want the
we'll never
big
get
money,
it.
man. They want the big money all at once.
Yeah, but okay. Well, that's it. I guess it's that old adage, what we're talking about and what we need to talk about in the Super BS Games cast is what's old or what we know from the past going to work with today's audience. And I think some things still can work and resonate, like we've seen with Helldivers 2, that satirical, not taking anything seriously type of deal as far as the statements on that type of universe. You saw it still connects with the today audience.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that not everything will resonate. Like we talked about on Super BS about Tony Hawk's 3 and 4. I had a great conversation with Retro City Games at their new location here yesterday, and
Mhm.
we should discuss this on sometime on Super BS about the changing of how important video games is and the video gaming scene is to an audience, and what their appetite is. So yeah, definitely. I don't know. It just, again, some of these old IPs being brought back, or some of these old ideas being refreshed and renewed, I think is a good idea. And then most of the time, it's not. Most of the time, it's not going to work out. I just hope this, going back to the original adaptation of this book, will bring success for Neil Blomkamp, because I do not want this IP to die with Neil Blomkamp. I'll just leave it at that. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I hope it's successful too, man. I really do.
So, what are your thoughts out there on what I just talked about? An exclusive by the Hollywood Reporter that they got the lead on this. That Neil Blomkamp, most notably known for District 9 and several other movies as well, he is going to be helming a new, well, at least right now, it's all the stuff sometimes gets blown away in production or whatnot. He's going to be helming a new Starship Troopers movie, but it's going to be based off the original book and not the 1999 film. Let me know your thoughts out there when you get a chance. As far as, are you preferring the original book adaptation and a more serious look at the world of Starship Troopers, or the campy, satirical, um, I guess, pointed look at Starship Troopers that the 1999 film made? Please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, last segment of the day, I wanted to go ahead and discuss with you a very important release this week in the world of video games before we head on out. Something that you are more familiar with than almost anyone I know, and that's the Assassin's Creed series. Now, I will because I got a new computer last year, I will be getting Assassin's Creed Shadows once that drops, I guess, according to what Intel has told me. So I'm very fortunate to see how that looks. I know this game has been delayed on several, well, 3 or 4 occasions, I believe. It has been delayed. This game, because of its protagonists, have also been brought up as far as Japanese culture is concerned, and a lot of people have had issue with it and controversy before the game has even come out. Um, this is also a point of contention that Ubisoft is not the healthiest of companies right now financially. Most people have indicated, as far as financial experts say, that there's a high probability that this company will again be sold, or at least its IPs either broken up or sold as a collective to another company, a larger company, like let's say a Sony or a Microsoft or somewhere else. Even overseas, they're talking about buying it from overseas, some Chinese investment, perhaps. Your thoughts, my friend, on how important is Assassin's Creed Shadows? This is most likely Ubisoft's biggest release of this year. How important is the success or lack thereof for Assassin's Creed Shadows to the future of Ubisoft?
It is definitely a make it or break it game for them. I mean, look at their track record over the past like 5 years has not been great. Um, we have Skull and Bones came out to zero fanfare after being delayed. No one knows what's going on with Beyond Good and Evil 2. Uh, the
But
Assassin's
let me get okay. Beyond a Good and Evil 2, that if you have high hopes for success on that one, I think you're just kidding yourself. It was not a successful game in the first place.
Right, but they still like made such a big deal out of it and they created anticipation for it and no one has heard anything since. Um, then they had Assassin's Creed Mirage come out and it was like $30 a week later. So what does that say about it? And Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, like they just have not been making great games. And Assassin's Creed is their flagship, and it already like it's has stirred feathers and it's going to be under a microscope thanks to the protagonists that are in the game and having to switch between them to do different things. They're saying that you can play, in either mode you want to, but I have a feeling that there's going to be missions where you're going to have to choose one or the other as they have been known to do in the past. But it Assassin's Creed is a franchise that started 2016 and has gone nowhere since. Like it has the changing the game mechanics, making it more of an open world RPG has been cool, but I mean the franchise isn't going anywhere. Like it had a story and the story became very convoluted and now it really is just the same. It's a rinse and repeat and they're just too big. So there's a lot that they're going to have to do right in this game in order to really I don't know. And even if it does do well, I don't know if it's enough to save Ubisoft. Like I feel like they're so far underwater that it's going to take a lot more to save them. But I also know they're trying to go private, so nobody could buy them out. I don't know. It's there's been like a weird like trade war surrounding them, but I'm not 100% sure where they're at with that.
For Honor, has that gone free to play? I know that Rainbow Six Siege has gone free to play or is going to go free to play. I know that's the definite future. For Honor, I mean, which has been a mild success, I guess at best, that it still has an audience after all these years after it came out.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that they just don't have anything that has knocked our socks off in years, and that's been the problem. But they have all these great IPs. I mean, you see right behind me Rainbow Six Vegas. Has it ever occurred to them what a remake of Rainbow Six Vegas that might have done? I just throw that out there. That could have garnered some interest, but again, you're still banking on nostalgia, which we'll find out with Tony Hawk's 3 and 4 if that's still the case with gamers. But yeah, it's just I believe there is a lot on the line, and
Yeah.
I agree with you. If this even is a massive hit, if this is a massive hit, like in the style of what we're seeing with Monster Hunter Wilds, I don't even know if that's going to be enough to save the company's direction. But man,
Yeah.
it might, well, at least at the very least, it would make it more attractive. Now, if Assassin's Creed Shadows fails, we could see a downfall real quick of what was once one of the premier gaming companies on planet Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, but everybody needs to move away from these companies have gotten greedy. Like they have cared more about how do I make money all year long as opposed to like how can I make money now but also make this a very good experience for the gamer, and that's something that they have moved away from. they moved away from it a long time ago, and they need to get back to what made their game so great in the first place and actually caring about their customer base. And that's something that Ubisoft has struggled with recently. So again, even if this game does well commercially, I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep the ship afloat, so to speak.
So I'll ask you this, my friend, and once again, it's the Pop Culture Cosmos. Truly appreciate you joining us for our last few minutes of the show. All right, we're in the boardroom of Ubisoft. I love to put us in the boardroom sometimes, as far as trying to make these big decisions for these franchises, these companies going forward. If we were in the Ubisoft boardroom, what IPs would you lean on first to try and get to stop the bleeding? Because, they're hemorrhaging right now. Ubisoft is hemorrhaging right now. They're bleeding. They've had a lot of failures in the past decade. I mean, the Division, that did not become the mercurial answer for everyone as far as gaming is concerned. A lot of other ones have failed as well. They've had free to play games. They've had games as a service games that a lot of them have fallen flat. Where would you go with the Ubisoft in the direction? What would you do next after Assassin's Creed Shadows?
So where are they at with the Tom Clancy games? They still own the rights to those? I heard
Yes.
there's
At
a
least to my knowledge, I think they do. Yeah.
um
I-
okay, so I mean I would lean on some of the Tom Clancy games. People have been asking for a Splinter Cell game for years, and that seems like a no-brainer to me, and they have yet to do that. There's also the Brothers in Arms games. Like those were really popular on the original Xbox and the 360, and those have just vanished. And in an era of Call of Duty, when people are wanting more games like that to play, it seems like that would be something to be like, oh, hey, yeah, I should go ahead and do that. And then look at how PlayStation has brought Ratchet, or Insomniac, I think, has brought they do Ratchet and Clank, right? Insomniac. Um,
yes.
Look how they have brought Ratchet and Clank into the new era, but we have not seen a new Rayman game in years that has not had rabbits of some sort in it. Like there's a lot here,
Or a Mario attached to it.
or a Mario attached to it. So I mean, there's a lot of things here that would be a lot simpler than an Assassin's Creed game, but also you need to have an Assassin's Creed game that has a direction, right? Like look at when Halo's story started to get like lost. That's when Halo started to fail. So they need to have an Assassin's Creed game, and they need to have a clear direction, because they introduce every RPG element into Assassin's Creed except for a cohesive story. And that is something that needs to happen with Assassin's Creed. So if you're going to have, line up the next 4 years of Assassin's Creed, make sure all the stories, there's a clear place where it's going to start and a clear place where it's going to stop, because that's going to be what really ties all of those things together. But I mean, they have a lot of games that they could still be working on that they just aren't working on. So I don't know. Nobody really knows what's going on with Watch Dogs. So it's yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know.
After
They're
Legion, they finally just, you know, went
yeah.
to left.
But
I, I,
what made the original Watchdog 1 and 2 great was that it had a good story, and it tied into the existing mythos of Assassin's Creed. But with Legion coming around, like nobody liked that because it was too complicated. There were too many protagonists.
I'm just going to tell you right now, I would lean on Rainbow Six. I would really, I know I talked about the remake of Vegas, whatnot. I would lean on Rainbow Six. I think Call of Duty, I don't want to say it's got some cracks starting to show, but there is possibly more room for a military shooter. I know Battlefield has failed consistently, and they're coming out with a new Battlefield again to try and take a stab at it. But I think that Rainbow Six had its own niche. You've seen Siege, still continuously being played, year after year. They're going to free to play, as I talked about earlier. I think that Rainbow Six, as a full-fledged $70 game where it's not just multiplayer centric, it's actually a full campaign. I think it can be still something that a lot of people would enjoy. I really think that's the IP that you should focus in on. Assassin's Creed, we got to see. I don't know if you want to lead still into Assassin's Creed as your number one big hitter. We'll see how it is with this version of Shadows. I mean, again, I'm going to probably be getting it this week, so we'll find out exactly how that is. But I don't know. We'll see. You're a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I am, as far as a fan of the older Assassin's Creeds 2, 3, and 4. I think it's the peak of Assassin's Creed, which is a problem because if that's your peak, that was
Yeah.
10 years ago, and it needs to become your peak again.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I liked Origins. I liked what came after that? Odyssey was an amazing game, right? I played that from front to back, you know, religiously. Valhalla was just it was too big and it was not that interesting, and it just kind of, instead of having a story that felt like it was tied up nicely in a bow, it just kind of stopped. And that is all the elements that make a good RPG, and they did it somewhat okay with Origins and Odyssey, but they just kind of did stop doing those things. It just felt like it got lazy. They're like, oh, our worlds are so big and you're gonna be playing our game all year, and nobody wants to do that.
I'll tell you what, though, my friend. Again, you brought some great things to the table in regards to Ubisoft, but we will see how is the reception for Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, a lot is riding on it. Last week we had the success of Split Fiction coming out to what commercial and creative success. We'll see if that gets followed up with Assassin's Creed Shadows here this week. See the early response on that. I know we'll be talking about it on the Super BS Games Cast, but if you guys have thoughts out there on Assassin's Creed Shadows, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, I know myself, I'll be playing a lot more Avowed. I'm already about 25 hours in. I can't believe it. It's become my next Oblivion. That's the case. But I'm excited, my friend. The season finale of season 2 of Apple TV Plus's Severance is there, but Ted Lasso got announced for return, my friend. That's the big news for Apple TV Plus right now. Even though Severance is going to be, I'm going to be talking nothing but Severance here in about a week with its finale, and I'll talk about season 2. What are your thoughts on Ted Lasso returning before we head on out?
It was inevitable, man. I mean, Apple's starting to put out some great stuff, but yeah, Ted Lasso's kind of been their flagship for all these years. So it seemed, I know there's talk about it not returning, but I mean, if there's another season coming out,
No, it got
obviously.
confirmed. It got greenlit for season 4 this week.
Right. No, no, but I know before it was greenlit, like there's a lot of talk about like, oh, well, what other story is there to tell with Ted Lasso? And lo and behold, here we go. There's still more, and they wouldn't be greenlighting it if they didn't really believe in what they were about to come out with. So yeah, I'm excited to watch it.
You and I both, my friend. But again, I'll be talking about Severance season 2. The finale is coming up, so I'll have definitely a lot to discuss on that. I know the guys and I are going to be talking about the world of video games at the Super BS Games Cast. And of course, everything I do, the Lakers Fast Break, what Josh does with Humanic Media, the Happy Hoarder, and so much more. Please become a What We're Doing each and every week. Be a part of it right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. So for Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos.